how much of the IT infrastructure is covered by TR1001-1? And can you put a number against that? Is it like 50%? Or at least TR1001 should enable you to build a functional ecosystem, IT ecosystem.
Well, maybe somebody else wants to speak up here briefly. I'll just say that the problem, and it was very helpful to quickly develop this document we're talking about, JTNM TR1001-1. It was easy to develop it because there was a specific problem we were trying to hit on the head. And that problem was, how can we make it easy to take a piece of equipment out of a box, put it in a rack, connect it, have some minimum human interaction, and then have that device become available in a media network. Yeah. So it had a very targeted problem that we were trying to solve, and I think it does that quite well. And we still need to see more adoption around that, which is, I think you'll hear that as a drumbeat on and on. But there are other problems, and where -2 or whatever might go in the future is yet to be determined. We have had active discussions here at IBC about what might we do next. But as an example, a number of people who are building these facilities may use spreadsheets that turn out to be pretty massive spreadsheets to describe the initial system configuration, and whether you're building the system internally or an integrator like Diversified is building that. It's very important to identify a number of different parameters per sender, per receiver, not just per device, but per basically video stream, audio stream, and so on. These sheets end up becoming very detailed, and that may be a very good tool in order to get up and running with a facility. But in a situation like the Eurosport situation, that configuration may change on a per season basis or even on a per game basis, depending on what it is. And a spreadsheet is not really enough to do dynamic system configuration on the fly. And so, and it's also very brittle, honestly. Have just started some discussions with Felix about this. They've got a potential solution that he might want to talk about. But this is an example of some of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah. Felix, I mean, how helpful was JTNM TR1001 in your build? I mean, was it something?
Adam, that's a requirement. That's what we ask. So this addresses the top of the pyramid, basically the top 3 layers, down to this connection management, control, and discovery that is just a common denominator for a system that at least all the devices speak the same language. And on top of it, you will have proprietary protocols to have defined control and everything. But at least you have a common denominator. I think TR1001 delivered that, and it gives a direction for the industry that we go to adopt IT technology like DHCP, DNS, and LDP that are already out there in use, and it's nothing new, but it's just a direction for the industry that this is where we want to go. The move to IP, the benefit will be gained when we get to the IT foundations of that transition. Now, what we need to do next in terms of getting a consensus across the industry, because TR1001, I call it consensus because it's now adopted in AIM's roadmap. You see here the number of vendors have already passed the JTNM badge program on TR1001. There will be, I guess, this continuous program that will continue in the future. So, for me, the boat has left in terms of TR1001. Just a question of time that the implementation are there. What's coming next? If we are going to do -2 or something else to complement that, I guess it's to go further down the pyramid, which is this whole question of monitoring and control and configuration. And is there a way to get a consensus for a single API for configuration of all equipment? Maybe it's hard, but is it possible to at least agree that the APIs of the different devices are open and therefore are published, documented, and can be integrated? and then that enable us, the users, to use IT methodologies like continuous deployment and DevOps that's already used. Again, we don't invent anything. So that Ansible approach is just to use an IT continuous deployment tool and to add some module for open API of devices. Once you have this, you remove a lot of that spreadsheet operation of manually entry of thousands of parameters that is maybe possible on day one when you start your plan. You spend a lot of time configuring everything and everything is perfect. But in the daily operation, what happens when you do a change in your system, it's so easy to break. There's so many parameters. So you need to keep track of that. You need to be able to roll back if you do a mistake. You need to be able to have a methodology approach when you do firmware update, and firmware and software update is something that will become even more often than what we used to do with our hardware bugs, where when it works you don't fix it. It's working, you don't touch anything. Now in the future, software upgrade will be a regular thing we need to do. So we need to adapt those kind of methodology. So it's really about having a common understanding in the industry about those questions, so we can do large-scale implementations.
So one of the solutions and one of the value propositions that came out of both last year's JT&M tested and the badging this time, as well as PR 1001, is being adopted and accepted by industry, particularly new users. They are finding that it's a great value to build a sandbox in their own facility, particularly if they're going to build a new facility or expand and migrate. It allows them to test and evaluate both their own personal understanding of the systems and the technology and so forth, but to evaluate and test other pieces of equipment. And we've found that in probably the last 4 or 5 systems that we've been putting together. The end users, as soon as they know they've got the go button on the project, have built up a small networking structure. They've got test generators, they've got monitoring gear, and then they literally invite key manufacturers in to bring their kit in and test and evaluate it and learn. And they've been using the guidelines from the badging processes and the testing processes, as well as the as far down the stack in the pyramid they could go with the R1001-1, and using that as an evaluation criteria to accept or reject equipment. So it behooves manufacturers to step up to this plate very quickly, and they are. It's very obvious.